Mr. Trump contradicted the evidence given to Congress yesterday by the head of the CDC, Robert Redfield.
That's right. CDC Director, Dr. Redfield, was testifying before Congress on Capitol Hill yesterday, and he had this to say when he was asked, just when do you think we will have a vaccine?
If you're asking me when is it going to be generally available to the American public so we can begin to take advantage of vaccine to get back to our regular life, I think we're probably looking at late second quarter, third quarter, 2021.
Now, it didn't take long for President Trump to respond to his top scientist. At his afternoon daily briefing on the coronavirus in the White House, President Trump said his expert had clearly made a mistake. Listen to the president.
I think he made a mistake when he said that it's just incorrect information. And I called him, and he didn't tell me that. And I think he got the message, maybe confused. Maybe it was stated incorrectly. No, we're ready to go immediately.
And now today, we've had the head of one of the large pharmaceutical companies that's in one of the leading drug trials for the vaccine, said that his company, at least, hopes to at least know if they're going to have the vaccine by November, which obviously doesn't fit the president's timeline. Obviously, he's very keen to have either a vaccine or a big announcement about a vaccine before the November presidential election. President Trump has previously said, yes, it was. And President Trump believes that he said just a short time ago, he believes the vaccine is only weeks away. He believes we're turning the corner on coronavirus, yet that just does not gel with any of his top scientific advisors, either the head of the Food and Drug Administration, the CDC, or the National Institute on Health. And today we saw the World Health Organization stress just how important it is for governments to be not shouting at, they said, but communicating with their populations with direct and clear information. And right now, it doesn't seem that we're getting that here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got my doubts about this. I would have thought that it would be later rather than sooner when it comes to vaccines. But to be fair, our government here is well, not as confident as Donald Trump, but they still believe that we'll be able to get a vaccine here via AstraZeneca at the start of next year. So that's not very far away. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, Michael, and Redfield also contradicted each other over the value of masks.
Yeah, so the president, again, was sparring with his top scientific advisor over this issue of masks. Now, you know that masks here have become deeply politicised. We've said before that if you're a Democrat, you're wearing a mask. If you're a Republican, you may not be. Many Republicans see this as an infringement on their civil liberties, being forced to wear these masks. Now, what Dr. Redfield of the CDC testified yesterday was that holding up one of those little blue surgical masks that we're all so familiar with, he says, this mask is more of a guaranteed protection against COVID than when I shall take the COVID vaccine. As he says, that's how important the masks are. Now, again, in that same briefing at the White House hours later, President Trump tried to debunk that, saying that he personally doesn't believe masks to be effective. And we know that President Trump, by and large, does not wear a mask, certainly in public.
Meanwhile, let's go to the NFL. It's returned, Michael, with strong messaging around the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah, look, I couldn't be happier than seeing the NFL come back. I'm pretty much addicted to American football, and it started this weekend with Thursday night football, Sunday football, and then a doubleheader on Monday night. The two things that we noticed, one is, okay, it's a whole new NFL this year in terms of social justice. I mean, we remember the quarterback a few years ago who knelt has been kicked out of the game and no one's picked him up since. He won a lawsuit that said he'd been blackballed. Well, now the NFL is getting right behind Black Lives Matter. The end zones, the try lines have end racism stencilled on them. the players are allowed by the NFL to wear the names of some of the black Americans who died at the hands of police, like Breonna Taylor. And the teams are allowed to make symbolic gestures, as you just saw there on the footage. That was the Kansas City Chiefs. That was the opener for the season, where both teams assembled on the field for the national anthem and linked arms. Other teams have stayed in their dressing sheds for the national anthem. But one thing we noticed at that Kansas City Chiefs game, where they linked arms, one of the few games of the week where they were able to have some fans, and the fans booed when they did it. Now, related or not to the embracing of the Black Lives Matter issue and racism, television ratings are way down this year. You know, small double digits, 12%, 15%. The only game to have had an increase on last year was the game where Tom Brady, who shifted from the all-conquering New England Patriots to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. People tuned in for that game, but it seems they're not tuning in quite as obsessively as they have in years past. Is it about the embrace of social justice? We don't know. We certainly know the president doesn't approve of their embrace.
How are the NBA ratings going? I mean, they're in finals time. Is it sport by sport, or is it just across the board?
Well, that's a great question. NBA is doing quite solidly well, but we also have the National Hockey League going on at the moment, and we also have Major League Baseball going on at the moment. Right. So these sports are competing for a lot of eyeballs, and these ratings are trying to take into account streaming viewing. I mean, I certainly watch most of my football on the computer these days. Yeah. So is it a matter of social justice? Is it a matter of competing codes? Is it or sports? Or, you know, is it a matter that people are watching in other ways? We're going to see. But I remember the booing when Patrick Mahomes was linking arms before the national anthem.
Who's your football team?
I chose the Jets because my wife's from New York, and I look better in green than in blue for the New York Giants. Of course, they're the perennial underdogs. I mean, I just can't pick a winner if I tried.
Well,
but
are you from Queensland? Are you a Broncos fan as well?
Yeah, mate. I like my Broncos, and of course, I'm a massive Reds fan.
Right.
No, but the Reds are going well, mate. Let's just focus on the rugby, shall we?
Yeah, exactly. We'll leave the Queensland Rugby League teams just to the side for one more year while they, rebuild.
Yeah, well, they need a new coach, that's for sure.
All right, Michael Ware, good to chat. We'll talk to you soon.